Friday for a little bit of programming. Today I'm intending to just kind of mess around a little bit with app framework in Clojure and Clojure script called Reframe. I've never made a full-featured app before, and I don't expect to get anywhere close to one today, but I need to learn how these things work in general. So what I've done actually is looked around the Reframe examples on their GitHub, and there's a to-do minimum viable thing as an example. So what I did was I cloned that for one, ran it in a Scratch folder, made sure it worked, and then I put all of the source into my own org file and got it all wired up together, and now it works. But I want to poke around, learn, take notes, that kind of thing, to see what I can learn about how to actually do it. So the idea is it's a working to-do list app now, and I want to convert it into a silly sort of app that just is a calendar that just asks one question a day, and have you done this today? And then you just click yes, and then it shows that you've done the thing for the day. The idea is then it just collects the streak, or it shows a done, not done, done, not done over the course of days. So I want to see if I can learn a bit about how it all works together, a web app, by messing around with things and changing things up to make my own sort of version. So in just a minute I'll have it up. All right. Right, so I am about to pull up, there we go. Okay, so what I've got here is notes here. And Dude calendar work in progress app. And then over here is the local serving of the app in its current state. So this, for example, if I go into here and edit this style resource, I can find here to-do app H1, right? So like I said, this is copied from a to-do example. So currently all of the stuff is going to refer to to-do app. So it's going to be confusing until I slowly mess with things and fix them up. So, but for example, this here is an H1 in the to-do app div. So if I change this opacity value back up to 1, or in fact, if I just change it to RGB, save this, there we go. The change is reflected right there. Because this is hot reloading with, I think it's Shadow CLJS is what it's called. A lot of these tools I've heard of before, but I don't know the complete inner workings of it all, so there's a good chance that stuff breaks and goes wrong. But the idea is not to be perfect. The idea is to mess around and learn and have some fun doing it too. So that is the generic goal for the day. So let me next, while I'm here, let me just change the background body here, if I just delete these style lines here, just leave it for now. So there's quite a bit of style work here actually. So I'll just kind of have to, I probably won't even need most of this, but it's a good starting point anyway. Info, completed. So these here, these buttons, change the URL here, and I assume that this here is a route, and then the route runs a function from core or something like that. So anyway, all of this stuff changes the app itself. So that is pretty nice. Let me very briefly write down a little blurb about the design here. This is a silly app that asks one question. Hey bro, have you been a dude today? And you say yes. The app shows you a grid, shows you a calendar of dude days / dude list days. So in all seriousness, this is just a streaks kind of tracker idea. So design, the data storage is handled by local storage, making the app entirely client side. Effectively, it doesn't need the app database is the only database. There's not a backend database that you check things with. So, and that's already the case with the to-do MVC. So if I put an example task in the list here, like that, and if I refresh this page, they stay there. But I don't know. Yeah, okay, so obviously in Firefox private mode, it doesn't save things into your local storage, right? So this wouldn't persist if you only ever use it in private. So yeah, kind of a limited tool, but could be potentially useful anyway. So the data itself just needs date when streak tracking begins, and it would need a list of yes, no. A list of yes, no. Then then take today's date, do basic math from start date to today, compare to list length, etc. Right, so you could guarantee so you could do that to, yeah, something like that. Anyway, so the idea, so all you really need, anyway, let me, all you would really need is def data example would be something kind of like start, and then what would you call it? Streak? No, you just do start and answers. Start date and responses, right? Where start date is a JS/date, some object that is properly date object that's saved one time, and then the responses are just a list of I mean, you could get weird with it. You could do this where it's just you could do like a byte array, or you could do strings, but that seems silly, and I'm gonna just do a vector of true false. Right, so that should be kind of the shapes I expect. This I don't know how to handle yet. If I do so I don't know how to connect sibling CLJS. Nothing linked. Okay, so that's not it. This might wreck my connection, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna actually, before I do that, let me just see something here. Can I run this? If I do to date string, I think that's valid. To date string of a js.date. I think. Hey, yeah, okay, cool. And that is, in fact, today's date. So if I just do, what does js/date just by itself look like? If I just do a print line of that. Right, so this is a correct object here. Now I'm sure there are ways to like do date mathematics, which I will need to create. But before I go and do all that stuff, what I am gonna have a look at is the database here to see what's up. So like I said, all of this stuff is directly from the to-do MVC spot reframe examples to-do MVC. So the annotations here in the code are taken directly from there. So it's just helpful for me. Actually, I have an idea. What I'm going to do instead is try to make my own function that pulls a key from state and just puts it on the screen at the route slash my fun, like that. So however it's supposed to work, this obviously didn't do anything. So I'm gonna figure out how to run my own function and show my own data on the screen there. So what I think that actually requires is let's see. Sub. I think sub is subscription to different events, which is not what I need at the moment. Okay. Let me see. Events. Spec check failed on the DB. Okay. Path, register event, DB. Boy, oh boy. There's definitely a lot I don't yet understand. Let's start at the core and see if there's stuff we can figure out from here. So these are just DevTool related things. Presumably this is for if I could properly connect to REPL, but I haven't done that yet, so for the time being I won't worry about it. Put an initial value into the app database. The event handler for initialized database can be found in events. Using the sync version of dispatch means that the value is in place before we go to the next step. Okay, that makes sense here because you want the data to actually exist before you start trying to work with it. Okay, so routes, this is where this is what I'm looking for here. There's a bunch of different routing libraries available. I've heard of BIDI, bidirectional. I've heard of Silk. I've not actually heard of Secretary, but since it's wired up and in here, I'm gonna just go with it for the time being. And I can follow the idea here. Let me make a trivial change here for a minute. Def route / ASDF, taking no arguments, dispatch, and I'll run set showing completed. I'm going to assume that that's a valid string or a key. So if I save this, if I navigate here to /ASDF, so stuff's not really working. Delete. Okay, so there are things totally going wrong, which is fine because it's part of the process, I guess. You have to click here, which is weird. Okay, now if I go to completed, oh, it's done. Complete. No, okay. So this ASDF won't work. Yeah. Let's try done. Okay, so there's one done, one undone, right? Let's see if anything makes sense. So things aren't working quite the way I thought they were, but let me nevertheless try to figure things out. Okay. Render into this afterload, clear the cache and render. This is a developer thing only. Export main render. Okay, so this is kind of trivial for what I'm trying to set up here. Def wants history. Okay, so this didn't do what I thought it did. Right, so dispatch. Where does dispatch come from here? Reframe core, dispatch. Set showing. Okay. The event handler. New state. Associating to the default database, right? Into the key to-dos, the local store to-dos. That makes a bit of sense. There's more that I don't understand than that I do understand. Path interceptor, add to do is an event. Toggle done, save, delete, clear completed. Okay, let's take a step back again. If I look at views for a moment here, if I do a view okay, task entry, what to do. Okay, so that does change this, which is good. We're onto something there. Right, footer info. I'm not sure what this is, but okay. Let me define ASDF as a view, okay? Takes no arguments. Let me split here for a minute. Takes no arguments, and all it's gonna do is say paragraph, hi, this was written by Adam. Of course, gotta make it valid here. Yep, compilation failed, that makes sense. Right, so this is ASDF. Now if I actually try to go back into the core has routes. So now let me do def route /ASDF, no arguments. This now okay, dispatch ASDF view. Okay, let's make that. And that happens okay, I think here register event fx. Okay, so it looks like I could write my own here. Split it here. I called it ASDF view in that other spot up here in the core. The route, when you navigate to this route, you dispatch the event ASDF view. I think this is correct, but we'll find out. And then event handlers change state, that's their point. What happens if there's a bug and it corrupts the app state? Okay. Right, event handlers. Co-effects. Inject co-effects. Okay. So if I just make a simple thing, it looks like I can run that, and then if there's no interceptors, I just do empty like that, and then the handler is a function. But I need to I'll be back in just a moment. Okay. It's amazing how little I know about what I'm doing right now. But I gotta start somewhere. That's better. Just have to start. Okay. So one thing I do want to do, well, first of all, this has to go like that. Actually, okay, let me just have a look at the events that get run on the open slash route, just like this, right? The home page. We've got in the core here, this route, home, dispatch, set showing, all. Okay, so set showing is an event somewhere that I can use sort of as a model, I hope. Okay. Set showing is right here. Register event -db, that part of the reframe API. New filter keyword is one of all, active, or done. Association to the DB showing. New filter. Okay, so all of these register event DB things, right? They're doing, they're somehow updating to-dos here, which is itself from where? From here, refer those functions. Right. DB. Okay, add to do text to dos comes from I don't get it. Okay, clearly this is, let's go see if documentation can help me out in any way. This is the wrong one. Let's go here. Okay. Docs. Let's see the basics here. Data loop. Oh, what? That's not what I expected. Okay, code. Let's see here. Event dispatch. Okay, event is a vector, has two elements in this case. Right, so a vector is, it's the event's ID as a key, and then events they are vectors. So event ID, or something like event ID data, like that. Right, so an event handler function is called to compute the effect of the event. Right, so on the startup of it, reframe apps register handlers for events using register event fx. So in our imaginary app, h is the handler function. For delete item, it must be registered like that. Right, so what I'm trying to do here is register an event to ASDF view, which is a thing I put on the route, which uses this kind of idea, dispatch, and then it dispatches the event vector that has no data, so I don't have to pass it anything. In fact, it looks like if I register event fx, I can ignore that part there. I can do that, and then now I can write a function that does something. It takes two arguments, this function, a coeffects map. It's the current state of the whole thing. In the simplest case, it's a trivial map. Yeah, okay, so the current state can get passed in, but I can choose to not use it, I expect. Then the event to handle is event like that, which I could also choose not to use, I guess. So it'll compute the effects as data. It means it computes how the world should be changed by the event and returns a map of effects which describe the changes. I wonder if I could put a little there's events, views. If I go to do app view here, but instead of this, is there a way to view footer I kind of just want to display the state in a div. Is that okay? There's this at subscribe. Okay. Single to do item. Editing is reagent. Boy, oh boy. Keys, ID done, title. Yep. Okay, so this thing here, if I just copy this and paste it into a little thing here, footer, messing around like that, and then I put another P with that. Save it. Oh, I did something wrong. Well, okay. Visible to-dos. Okay, well that's not it's not good. Let's get back to a point where it works. Uh-oh. Oh, have I? No. I'm being silly because I think I left an unfinished function in that other spot there. So let me do P. That should be fine. Events is broken here because this is all bad. Let's go like this and not tangle it at all. Okay. Right, so we have at the very least we've got, okay, we do have there a subscription showing. So if I do this, done is true. Okay, cool. Right, so subs showing okay, so I could do register sub state, and then I could extract from the DB the whole thing, right? So if I do that, and then I go back this way to the view, and I wonder, okay, there, good, state, oh man, okay. Right. Every layer 2 subscription will rerun anytime. Did this not? Did it not do anything? Okay, so that tangled. Maybe I have to refresh. No. Let's try that. It didn't work. Showing right, so something's wrong with these route things here. Okay. Right, so these, maybe the sub has to be, maybe DB is like a function. That doesn't make much sense to me. I don't think that's it. Yeah. Right, so that's weird. I thought it would have been. This function returns the input signals. It returns. I don't know why I can't display the whole dB. Maybe if I... That doesn't seem to make sense, but... Oh, well, there you go. It is. It does work. Show state. That'll be the thing. And here, show state. Okay, so we've got something. We've got a little bit of something here. What happens if I do this in a so that's the state. It's got all that in there, which is nothing. So if I go here, right, that's empty. Now let me add something to the state itself. Let me have a look and see if that makes sense. Or to the dB. So here, def dB keys to do showing. If I do start date, and then the default app dB value here, I can add a key, start date, and the value is just going to be JS / date. Is that going to make sense? Let's see. Let's see if that works. Hey, it did. Cool. Okay, so we're getting somewhere, kinda. Right, so we have a date instance, which means now views, if I were to create a little thing here, I'm gonna make a little subscription. Right, it's going to take the dB and it's just going to pull out the, it's going to do .toDate string of the start date from the dB. I think that makes sense. And then in the views here, see right now I have this thing here which I just had done earlier, which is a what am I looking at here? Where did I put that? The classic problem. That exists just right. Okay, to do item, it won't be that. It won't be the task list. Will it? Oh, here. Okay, task entry has the header here. So instead of this, right, what I should be able to do is get rid of that. Make sure it's okay, good. But instead of this, I should be able to do @subscribe and subscribe to the event start, or the I should be able to subscribe to the value or whatever it's called, start date. Yeah, sweet. So that's pretty good. But let me imagine a scenario where the date instance, let's do let's see here. Oh, you can just subtract 2 from... Really? Seems weird. Okay, so new date. That seems strange, but let me try it. Let's just see what happens if I just go ahead and directly subtract date from the DB here. Come on. Okay. So what I've done successfully so far is add a key to the spec of the database. So, which, by the way, if I do this now, that's in the spec, and that should fail now. Yeah, okay. So, because it failed the spec check that it's doing on the database, which is pretty cool. So, but I'm tangenting myself all over the place. I wonder if I do key dude cow. If I do this, if I do right, so then I refresh this, it's got those 2. If I change this back, yeah, okay. So the local store key, that's pretty cool. So if I make it dudecal again, it should load back into the state, the 2, yeah. Huh, that's pretty cool. So this local storage thing to me seems pretty useful if I want to make kind of a very small, let's say like a blog post type thing that has like code snippets in it. It all runs client side, but I want to be able to have the user make some changes and then save it in a state blob or something like that. You could use this kind of mechanism, this local store, to save into their computer's cache or something. That seems neat. I like that idea. Okay, to continue for a moment, I was going to just change the JS date here. I was just going to try directly subtracting. Let's make it 5 days ago. See if it works. That would be a no. Let's inspect this here. Console error. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, let's go. This warning's like crazy. I'm surely doing stuff wrong. Clear it though. Okay, so things look okay for right now and there. But if I do date, but if I do date -5, does it? Yeah, it's not. Okay, so it's obviously I have to do something different there. A little bit. That's fine though. Oh, date.now minus that. That's that. Well, I do need to know how to do date math. Yeah, of course, working with dates is always problematic too, right? There's always edge cases where things kind of break a little bit. Let me have a look though. Date.now, is that valid? Date date.now, if I do date.now minus it's in milliseconds, right? So you have to do the math that this person provides here with the assumption that a day is 24 hours, which might not always be true, but for this little example it could be fine. me copy the whole line for a moment and see if that makes any sense. Let's try. Let's just paste it right in the console. Right, so if I do minus 48, it should be 2 days back. Yeah. Cool. So let me see if I could just kind of manipulate that into this whole bit here. If actually, let me think for just a minute. If I do it like this, function date and args. Date, days. We'll just do a silly little simple one here. Split that. Right, so it takes, so what it does is let days be milliseconds be times the number of days, this whole thing here, 24, days times 24 times 3600 times 1000, which is just, then I do dot now of JS slash, dot now of date, which is a date object, actually let me do it in this spot here. So I have to do, how does that work? Is it like this? I think it might be like that. We'll find out shortly. No, I think it is just that. Dot now of the date that's passed in. And you're doing a plus the date now plus the milliseconds there, and I'm going to call that new, or x, no, yeah, x, no, new milliseconds is fine. And then here you just do JS slash date on new ms. Let's see if that works. first let's add date.now is not a function. Is it this? Right, so that's a problem I'll solve after I'm done in the bathroom. Okay, so this add days function isn't working yet. Let me get back to the spot that works here, right? I realize actually if I mx cider jack in cljs, pardon me, let's do, actually wait a second, let me get rid of that, let's get out of there. I wonder, let me check if I can do, if I split this, what happens if I just run this function? Let me do it. Add days to js/date 4 days. If I run this snippet, what happens? Date.now is not a function, right? So if I go like this, oh, maybe, do I have to do this? Not a number. Well, isn't that neat? Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. Of course I don't. but so it's obviously not actually this is not actually doing what I think it does, right? So if I do instead, let me just see if I do this, give me the milliseconds and give me the new milliseconds, does that actually do what I think it does? Okay, so this is not a number. So there's something going wrong here. So I don't know how to get at that. So if I instead do, I wonder if it's like this. Oops. D. That still doesn't matter. Okay, so show JavaScript date object. I don't understand it yet, so let's just have a look at what this is. Okay, so maybe I have to turn it. No, that's wrong. Oh, it might. No. I wonder if .value of is what I need here. Oh, well, let me try another thing now. If I do .d .date, let's write it this way, UTC. What is .value of? Okay, let me do this instead. Value of JS date. Not what I thought. Nope. Hey, okay. Does this do anything? No, okay. All right, let me try this with dot value of. There's weird errors going on here. Let's do, okay. Now, we have something. Right, so now let me see if js/date new ms does what I think it does. Let's go -3 days. So this 8 should turn to a 9, yeah? Wait, what was it before? No, it should be a 7, of course, because it's the 10th today. Cool, okay. So if I go here, dot get day of this 2. What? That's not right. Get return, oh, it is right. Day of the, no. What? Oh, yeah, it would be -0. The day of the week would be 5. Oh, they split the week on the weekend? What? Yeah, anyway. Okay. Oops. I meant I should do get date is what I actually want there. So it's the 10th. If I added 10 days to it, it's the 20th. If I add 20 days to it, it should be the 30th, right? And if I add 24 days, it should loop into the new month. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. All of that just to say I want to add days to this -4, right, to make this say not a different starting date. Press the right button here, get rid of that. Ooh, what have I done? Ah, okay. This is why. Clojure. It wasn't being tangled into the file, and now it is. And now my start date was that, which is exactly what I want. Okay. Some things take me a little while. Let me now also get rid of the results here. Can make a new thing, Clojure script. Let me do what am I trying to test here? Can I just subtract 2 date objects? That's what I wonder. All right. Let's actually just do it this way. Clojure script here. I'll do a let A be add days to js/date. Let's do 4 days ago, and then B is today, js/date. So these are just JavaScript date objects. What I want to do is see if BA equals 4 or if it does something weird. Okay. Oh, right. So I have to actually then take all of this and do this thing divided by 1,000, 3,600, 24. That should convert it to days, right? 4. Yeah. So if I make the difference 7 here, 7. Okay. If I do this, A minus B, does it work? Yep. Okay, so I can make a new function. Actually, I could just do, let me do this. Define date delta AB, right? So then date delta between should the date delta be an absolute value thing? No. Should be right minus left or left minus right. Okay, well let's do, in real life, if you do 4 minus 2, yeah, so the higher number, yeah, that's totally fine the way it is. So if I just do date delta of add days just thinking about names of all these functions, they're not the best. Let's do 8 days difference and just today, right? If I run this, it works. The difference of days between a day 8 days ago and today is minus 8 days. So if I do a day in the future minus today, it's 8 days into the future. If I abs it, these are not perfect, but they do work for right now. They should be moved somewhere else as well, because they're just kind of in they're incorrectly just in my DB spot, which doesn't make any sense really. I should maybe have like utilities. Or should it be in the core? No, it shouldn't be in core because that's just kind of treated as sort of an entry point type thing. So I do actually think it should be in like a utils sort of thing. Clojure, tangle into source dudecow utils.cljs. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. The namespace is dudecow.utils. Doesn't require anything at the moment, and it only contains 2 functions for the time being. Right, so if I go into here, I would need technically dudecow.utils as util. Yeah, that's fine. There, and that would mean this is utils slash, and that should all work. Let's just change this date so I'm sure that it, okay, that's good. Now obviously the start date has to be if you initialize it with a nil, then so the default DB cannot have this function in it. It needs a like a nil. Because it's always associating in. This has to be somewhere else. This has to be, save that. Right, so this has to be I don't actually need this technically, right? So the it needs to be nil or something, and then when you associate data into your database here, puts to-dos into local storage. These to-dos, interceptor chain. Right. Right, so I need something, I need to figure out like a kind of co-effect thing where if the so here, right, is where I'm initially getting the local storage back, and it just reads it back into, it converts an Eden map into a normal map, which is all fine and good. Turns it into a sorted map at that, actually. So that's local store to-dos. Right, so this has to be like nil as a starting point, right? And then you run a not set. We'll start with that. Okay, and then I don't need this anymore here. That won't work, but because start date here, it will, if I go to subs here, start date, this is all, I don't need the to date string here, I just need it to be that. So that should work now. It should say not set. Okay, perfect. So let me go back to this view and add something here. Right, so let's get rid of this because that's not helping me at the moment. Okay. It was not this, it was this task entry thing here, h1 at subscribe, that if I do start date there, whoop, perfect. Well, perfect. It is showing me what I want. If I actually do now, if I go up to the DB default, don't put a string in there. If I just make it nil as a start, it doesn't show up. Okay, so now I have to figure out where I can put the is it in where was it? Let's kill the scratch buffer. Don't need that right now. It's not there. Okay, events. There was this one, initialize DB. Okay, this gets to-dos from the local store, puts the value into the coeffects argument, check spec. The event handler here, take two values from coeffects, ignore event vector itself. Right, you don't need the event vector, but you do take the database, and here, okay, that makes sense. But I can instead, so if I now make another function here, just as a starting point. Oh. This one, let's get rid of that. And in fact, let me, no, that's good. Here, let me go here. Okay, so what I want to do is make a little function, set date. Wait, do I want to? I don't need to make a new function actually. Let me attempt this here. If I just comment this part out, let me instead make it say thread first, the default database this also won't, this, I don't think this is correct, but let me give it a starting, let's start it out anyway. So if I thread that first through here, I can associate into the to-dos the local store to-dos, no problem. And that's currently the same as it was before. But if I associate into start date, when not, when not start date DB, Is this gonna work the way I think it is? Oh, this is silly because this will always make it nil. This isn't the smart way to write it, really. This is the really dumb way to do it. If start date db, then start date db Is there such a thing as assoc when? Whatever. If there's not, right, then you do js/date Shall I see if this breaks it, or it broke something? Well, okay, if I zap that out of there, does it work now? Yeah, okay, so that's working fine. Does the default DB let me simplify it down even further. Let me just assoc into that. Oh, wait a minute. This would have to be dot to date string for it to display, but yeah, okay. Right, so that is if it's nil. But so now, since it's already not nil, this should, I think, not work. If I do right, if I go here and add in my little utils thing, if I do dudecal.utils as utils, right, if I go util/add days to this, and I add -5 days, this should not change the date there. Oh, utils. Right, and the reason is because I already placed this in there. So now, if I actually go here in private tab, it should be, yeah, Sunday, right? Which is 5 days ago. It's just, I don't need that open anymore. Right, so that is technically successfully not killing the start date that's put in there, which is kind of a good thing. If I how do I clear the local storage? Firefox clear local storage. Local storage.clear in the console might do what I need it to do. If I do local storage.clear, refresh this. Hey, it worked. Okay, so now in my local storage I set things to 5 days ago, but there's gotta be a better way to do this, but for the time being I'm gonna just call it fine-ish. Right, so what happens here, I'm just going to put a little note, Adam, start date nil by default, so if not nil, just use the existing date. Otherwise, save today's date. But I realize there's one problem here. I don't want it to be in a string. I actually want it to be the date object proper, because then I can do, it makes sense to kind of expect that in there. Right, and then this, actually I can just do that. So there's probably a better way to write this, but I don't know it yet. So that does mean, since I got rid of the toString thing there, what I actually want to do is go to the views here. Actually, maybe I don't know if this is smart or not, but I want to make a new sub for start date and then wrap this in a toDate string. So I have start date string and start date, which would mean task entry here should be to subscribe to start date string instead, which clear, if I save this, ooh, did I break it? I might have broken it, eh? Neat. Oops. Well, that's my bad. Oh. Start date DB. And here, if date if date, you do that. But if not date, you just do nil. Let's try that. Okay, let me inspect. If I go to the console, clear local storage again. I do want to cheat the date to be -5 days or whatever. So in order to do that, I have to go into the initialize here. Is that gonna work? Refresh it. Yes, okay, good. So we kind of tricked our way into putting the date 5 days earlier. And now if I get rid of this again, this -5, I don't need anymore. Did I do that right? Looks like it. Yeah. So if I save that and refresh this, something went wrong, or something didn't work the way I anticipated. Well, let's That's strange to me. One moment. Right, so what's happening here is I figured that the database here that gets put into here will have always, so what I thought is the database would have whatever the local storage value has, but that might not actually be true. It might just be the default. So if I do this, if I associate into start date the start date of the DB, save that, and refresh this page, will it say nil? Yeah. Okay, so there's something going on here, right? Well, sorry, there's not anything going on. I need to make a sort of equivalent thing here that creates the local store to-dos as a gets to-dos from local store and puts those values into the coeffects argument. Inject coeffects. Right, so local store to-dos is a keyword from where? That's what I don't know yet. Right, you'll have to read the tutorials and look at the bottom of db.cljs for the local store to-dos coeffects. Okay, so that is fine. I can db, okay, here, reframe, register coeffects, local store to-dos is a function that has a coeffect, and probably that's the event, but you don't need it. So let me try to make my own here. Local store start date function coeffects assoc into coeffects the key local store start date, yeah, So here is where I can actually make the, so what this does, the side effect is it processes the stuff from the local store. So what I can do is make my little if logic here, right? So yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can make this do what I want it to do. It will, by the way, mean all I have to do here is right. So the coeffects is going to be local store start date as well, and here the key local store start date there, which means local store start date should be, I should process that into a date instance. Oh, and of course, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but I'm gonna give it a try. Right, so see, the problem I'm having here is maybe, okay, so this coeffect into local store to-dos takes the local storage from the key, reads it, turns it into a sorted map. So what I should be able to do is from I should be able to do something like this. Let the date, start date, be from get in I always shoot split what's going on? Okay. I think get in is map and then keys, or keys and then map. I can't remember. So let me just do it this way. Get in local store to-dos and start date coeffects. I think that's right. If it's not, I'll try to fix it. Okay, so I have here associate into coeffects, the key, local store start date. The thing is either going to be if start date otherwise dudecal.utils / add days to js / date 5 days ago. Okay, let's see if any of that makes sense. Okay. Right. So there's no, it's not erroring out here, but it's not actually doing what I thought it would do. Let me go here. And have a look if okay. Here. This thing, local store start date. Let me make sure that things are okay, stuff matters. Stuff is kind of working here. Okay, that nils it out again. Okay, so my approach isn't totally correct. So I have the interceptor chain. I wonder if I have to call this as its own line here, like this. Oops. Will that work? Whoa, cool. Okay. So I think it's working in the way that I wanted. We shall find out. Actually, let me check if I go back up to the DB thing here. This interceptor that I wrote currently has a -5 hard-coded into it. What if I do a -20 days? I should see no change there, but it did change. So it's still not behaving in the way I anticipated. I wonder if this start date's not even getting put into the local store. That might be what's... If I go back to the console, if I look at local storage, right, all I have are two. Okay. So the local storage is, I have nothing writing, of course. So this will always be the case that, oops, it'll always be false, right? There'll never be something written in there because the key doesn't show up until after. So it's not in the local storage at all. So I should have looked at that earlier, but I did not. So, okay. So I need to copy some logic over from the idea of here, to-dos into local store, puts to-dos into the local storage. I won't need that eventually, and it probably would be nice to have something that puts the whole state into the local storage for me directly. Right, so let me define well, let me just see. Let me see if put start date into local storage. Let me see if this works. Right? So can I have two different, can I make a new key? Well, let's see. Right, so when does that actually happen? To-dos into local store. Where does that get called? I think, is that in the events? Yes. Check and throw. Right. So here, it's an interceptor. You put to-dos into local store after. Okay. Right, so I could just smush that here. Let me try. Start date local store. If I just do that, will it do anything? Warning. Oh yeah, because I haven't imported it. That'll be in dudecal.db. Right, so now if I go to my console, oh, errors. Got a function instead of an interceptor. I wonder if I have to do it, if I have to wrap it like this. I thought it was an interceptor, but perhaps I'm wrong. Okay, now, well, let me just have a look here. Okay, so it didn't work the way I thought. But this is an interceptor at least. Right? Like, the database is not built from what local storage, right? I thought that this would now create a new key here in the storage, right? But there's only one entry there, which is something I don't understand yet. So I'll have a look again. Here, there's the key, to-dos into local storage, puts them in there, set item JS local storage ls key as a string. Maybe it can only store strings, so maybe I have to do dot to date string. Oh, wait a second. No, let me forget that. Let's leave it as a date here. But I called this, I think, without actually putting a date argument to it. Ah, okay. So here, maybe this is it. I don't need this after. I do need to call this function with a date like that. Ah, there we go. Okay, so now I've got the start date key here. And this weirdly is putting the wrong date there, right? Because this key says today. Okay, but at least it's doing something. Right, and I have right, okay, so this here, local store start date now, is pulling the wrong thing into it. So this coeffect is wrong. Right, so I have to, this won't work here. So I have to zap this away and write it differently. So if I associate into the coeffects the local store start date into that key, all I want is .get item js/local storage, and I hard-coded this start date key into that spot there from, yeah, so that's the item I need to get. And that's actually it. Because I don't think I need to transform it in any way. Okay. Something went very wrong. And that might be because if I go back here, okay, so I've got something going wrong there. In task entry, it's already a string. Right, so views, task entry. If I do this, yes, okay, so this looks like a garbled mess. Let me shrink that down just for a minute, but I understand what happened there. CSS. Right. To do app H1, font size 20 pixels. Beautiful. Right, so if I now, let me see, if I do local storage.clear and refresh this. Right, so it did put in a new date. That's good. So it only saves things, when you go to local storage, it saves it as a string. So I have to, when I pull it out of local storage, I have to turn it back into an object. I wonder if I can do that. Date.parse. It's not recommended to use it. Okay. Right. Right, so I would have to make a little helper utility to bring the date back to what I want, which I can do later. I don't want to do right now. I'm almost done for the day because I'm getting tired of my head spinning, trying to understand it all. Now let me just double check something here. If I go to DB, there's that coeffect that pulls it from the local store. What I want is on the initialization here, where is it supposed to be? I'm in the wrong spot again. Oh, here, this. Is this still not doing what I think it's doing? Yeah, okay. I don't understand this well enough to actually do what I want, and I'm at a point where this isn't working out the way I want it to exactly. So let me try to write down what I don't understand. Currently, most things about reframe. What I don't understand, proper way to create co-effects. What is the appropriate use of co-effects? What else? What I'm starting to understand, not everything, but subscriptions, subs, can be used to display. I'm sure they're useful in more things, or but here subs seem to be primarily used in views. You can subscribe to key to use that subscription, that registered subscription output in a view. Right, so the subscription itself, subs, registered subs, take right, so layer 3 stuff okay. Layer 2 style subscriptions will change when appdb state changes, because the input signal for a default because no second function, right, which is signal returning function provided. Reframe provides one as default, just the app DB itself. So the only okay, still need to work on that, and I'm actually going to get going because this was way more mentally taxing than I anticipated, which is totally fine, but there's way more that I have to learn than I thought. I thought that I would be able to jump in, find the spots to change, and make relatively simple changes, but reframe is quite a full-featured thing, and I don't know the architecture well enough yet to make the changes I thought I wanted. So that's just a lot of learning that I'll have to do, and that's totally cool because I need to know how to do this stuff anyway. So I'm actually happy with the fact that I have an org file nicely designed with an example app that actually runs, albeit it doesn't run what I want it to run, but it's an app. And I'm happy that I'm starting to poke through the code and get a little more of an understanding. This is definitely a project I'll be working on this weekend. I won't be doing app dev like this until next Friday again, because I'll be working on my library, on my designs, and on, I think next week I want to do some more mathematical explorations on Thursday, which I think could be really fun. So that's all I've got for right now. A little bit of a quieter stream for me. Been thinking a lot, talking a bit less, and learning what I don't know, which is a lot of things. So that's good. But if you tuned in and you're just watching, thank you so much. I do appreciate that a lot. These streams are something I really enjoy doing, and they're forcing me to program more consistently, to try and program better, and to communicate more effectively as well. Those are really nice benefits that I'm happy to have. I also hope to build a community around this over time. So if you're watching this again in the future on the VOD channel or anything like that, thanks. Please feel free to send messages, leave comments, all that kind of stuff. Any bit of feedback is helpful. Any engagement is encouraging, and it's just enjoyable. So I hope everyone has a good time. I'm going to get going. I hope to have a good weekend, and I hope you do too. So, bye.